Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. One of the questions I get asked pretty frequently is how do you add posts to the backs of earrings that you've made? And it's really pretty easy, and today I thought I'd show you my method of doing that. But before we get started, if you do find this video useful, would you please like it and subscribe to my channel, and maybe share it with other people who might find it useful as well. With that being said, let's get started. Alright, so I have here a couple of bezels, and I'm just going to imagine that I was going to make these into earrings. And I've also cut myself a couple of pieces of 20 gauge round wire, which is typical. 20 gauge is typically what most people's ear holes are, unless they've gauged them or something like that. Some people can wear up to 18 gauge comfortably, but not everybody can. So I usually use 20 gauge. I'm going to file the ends flat. And there's a reason that I left these this long, because I know ear posts aren't going to be that long, but we're going to need them to be a little bit longer for a specific purpose, and then we'll cut them down to the size they need to be. Okay, I'm cutting myself a little bit of hard silver solder. Shooting most of them across the table, as is normal. Throw them on there, and then here's my little earrings. And I'm going to position these more towards one side than the other, probably, but my first step, take the flat side of my tweezers like this, set this guy off to the side for now. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, flux the end of that wire there, flux back the earring. I'm going to go ahead and flux this one as well here. Okay. So, simple way to pick up a piece of solder onto this piece of wire is just to set it on top of a piece of solder and heat the wire until it balls up on the end. And then I just have to heat the earring that I want to put this on the back of to the point where I think it's to that soldering temperature, and then just touch this on there, and it should just immediately solder. But if you hold on to it for a minute to make sure it's completely solid again. Okay. So I'm going to set this down for a second. I'll pick up the other one. Okay. That nice and crusty. Pick up another piece of solder here. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more. That was kind of a small piece of solder, so I have plenty. Okay. So while they're still warm here, I'm going to throw them in a pickle. And then once they've cleaned up a little bit, I'll show you how to make those wires. Right now they're really soft and squishy because even though I was using wire that was half hard originally, when I heated it up, it annealed the metal so that those ear posts are going to be really flimsy. And you don't want to have really flimsy ear posts, so we're going to re-work harden them after they're cleaned up a bit, and I'll show you how to do that. So I fished these out of the pickle, and as I said, these wires now are very flimsy. And what you can do to fix that is, and this is the reason I left them long, I can bend one of these wires over like this. An easy way to work harden ear posts like this is just to twist them in a spiral like that. Okay? And because what that does is that torques this thing along the whole length. And it pretty quickly work hardens the entire length of that. You can tell it's getting stiffer and stiffer as I turn it. The trick is figuring out when to stop turning before it becomes so brittle that it decides to break off. This is also a good test for your solder joint to see whether you had a good solder joint there. So And that's feeling pretty stiff now. So what I usually do as far as length is I use an earring that comes from the store, or if I don't have one handy, it's usually about 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to use this one as a guide to measure. I can hold it in place with my sort of clumsy hands tonight. Alright, so it's about right there. So that's about the length of the post. If you've noticed on earrings that are from the factory, there's usually a little notch right near the end to catch the ear nut so it doesn't fall off. If you take your wire cutters and move in just about a 1/16 of an inch or a little bit more than that, and just gently squeeze, not enough to cut through the wire, but just enough to make a groove as you twist it like this. Turn it around a few times and it creates a nice little notch there that the ear nut will catch on. So that's how I do ear posts, and I found that I typically leave them longer while I'm polishing. I'm just doing it this way to show you how to put the ear posts on. But normally I leave them longer so I have a little bit more to hold on to when I'm polishing the earring in advance. So that's what you do. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful, and if you did, would you please like the video and subscribe to my channel, as you'll find all sorts of content just like this. If you're a beginning or even an intermediate silversmith, you might find some new techniques that you could try. So thanks for visiting, and happy silversmithing.